Hello, everyone, and welcome to our new COW podcast episode, which stands for Championing Our Wellness. I am Nicola Pugge, and I'm an international student from Germany here at Shippensburg. I'm studying communication, journalism, and media, and I'm also a member of the track and field team here. Today, it's just me hosting without Donovan or Gian, but instead I'm joined by my lovely guests, Alexa Michielsen and Carolina Rodriguez Sanchez. Welcome, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
And
Thank you.
you're also both international students, athletes here at Shippensburg, just like me. And why don't you both go ahead and give us all a quick introduction to yourselves, like what you do here and who you are.
My name's Alexa. I'm on the field hockey team here. I'm also a comm journ major here at Ship, and I'm currently a senior. I came here in the fall of 2022, and I'm graduating early.
My name is Carolina. I'm from Spain. I'm on the women's basketball team, and right now I'm doing my master's in business administration, and this is my third year at Ship.
Okay, awesome. So we have all sorts of representation here from international locations and years that we are in. And so what was your experience of coming here to Shippensburg, like transitioning from your home country? And then for you, it sounds like you were at a different university before, right? So like, how was that experience for you guys?
Do you want to go first?
Okay. So, my first year I was in Iowa. Well, my first couple of years I was in a community college. And it was kind of easy to transfer there because a lot of international students were in my community college, especially my team. 3 of my teammates, they were from Spain. So it was kind of like I had someone to look, like I have an example to follow. But then when I moved here to Shippens, where I was the only Spaniard, and there are not a lot of international students here, so for me, it was harder to move to Shippensburg than like to Iowa, even though I was already in America. But I think like that this is my dream since I was 12 years old, so I had the mindset to like go through like the tough times.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
I came from an international school, so I was kind of already used to like different cultures, and it also for me was always a dream to come to the U.S. So coming here, we had 3 Dutch student athletes on the team, which was really nice, and it definitely helped with my transition. They all ended up leaving, and I was the only one left. But like having that my freshman year definitely helped with like the transition of like the playing style, like the expectations here. Obviously it was still hard, but that definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was like, when I came here, I was the only German or the only international on the track team. And like on the one hand, I think that was really good for me because I was just like thrown into the culture and I didn't really have the choice to like stick to German or whatever. So like just like language wise, I think it was good for me. But then on the other hand, I was like, I think someone to like look up to or like an example to follow would have been really nice in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely relate.
Yeah.
And so when you came here, what was easy and what was a challenge for you both? Because I know for me, the language at first was a challenge because I was coming from Germany and I was not at an international school, so I only had like English in my English class and everything else was taught in German. So coming here at first, just like having the confidence to speak English all the time and just like having classes in English was hard for me and was a challenge. So how was it for you guys?
That's a good question. I feel like the language, like small talk, wasn't difficult for me because of my like the international school background, but it was like the terms in your sport were like very different for me. Like there were certain words for like the playing style or like tactics that I was like the first year I was so confused about all of that. So that was definitely a struggle. And then I think just like culturally, like there's just like differences sometimes, and that was like a big adjustment. Like I feel like like how I am here is like different than how I am like at home, if that makes sense.
Yes, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like when I came here, like some of my teammates were from Spain, and in Spain we give 2 kisses when you meet with someone. So I remember one time I was saying bye to my friend, and he was American, and I went to like kiss him twice because he's like, I don't know, I was around like more Spaniards, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And he was like, wait, what are you doing? What are you trying? I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, it's just like, I don't know, you were raised like that and you have been doing that all your life. So then when you move here, you have to adjust. And sometimes it's just, your brain doesn't, I don't know, change. And you're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And then also, the language barrier, like English is my 3rd language and I'm very like shy. So when a lot of people, like in a group setting, it was hard for me to talk because it was like, they are speaking so fast, and then in my head I'm like translating everything to Spanish, and then I'm thinking in Spanish what I want to say in English. So by the time that I know, they are already talking like a different topic. And then another hard thing is the food. The food is a big one. Yeah, my body doesn't like the fast food. Like it doesn't. I don't know.
Like accept it. Like do you like get like stomach issues? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are the main ones for me.
So how's the food different at home than it's here? Just so some people might not know about Spanish food.
Yeah, I think like, I mean, you're from Europe, so like you know, like the products are more fresh, you know, like it's not processed and the fat is not, I mean, we have like fat food, like of course, but like it's more like healthy, it's more pure. I don't know. And
I agree. And even like, I feel like even like sodas and stuff are more healthy at home in a way that like, soda can be healthy.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I agree.
But even McDonald's, you go to McDonald's in Europe and it's way better. Like it's healthier than here.
Yeah.
I feel like they use a lot more oil and like butter and like everything's greasy, if that makes sense.
Yes. No, for sure. And I sometimes struggle, even like at the like grocery store, I struggle to find stuff that we have at home. And I'm like, oh, I really want that. And then they don't have it here. And I'm like, man, why can't I be home?
Yeah, same.
That's a good
That was your choice, though.
Go to the next question. What do you miss most about home? I know for me, it's my family.
Yeah.
And the food, obviously, but definitely the family.
Yeah, family and food. And the beach.
Oh, the beach does sound nice, yeah.
Yeah. No, but the culture, though. I love, like in Spain, we have a lot of culture, like in the street. You know, you go out for a walk and, like, everyone, like, is alive. Like, when my family came for graduation, they were like, this is a ghost town. Like, you don't see anybody here. Like, and even, like, I went with them over Christmas to Washington, D.C. last year, and they were like, this is a huge city, and nobody's on the street. Like, in Spain, it's, like, full, no matter, like, the time of the year. And, like, you hear, like, old people complaining and the kids, like, playing around and yelling. Like, that's life, you know? Like, that gives me, joy.
Yeah.
So, like, coming here, that was a big adjustment, too.
Yeah.
I agree with the family and food part, that, too. Like, for me, too, back home, like, everything's, like, within walking distance or biking distance. And, like, coming here, it's, like, cars everywhere. Like, it's not designed for, like, people walking, people biking. So that was a big adjustment for me. And then also just, like, culture, I'd say. Like, Dutch, like, culture. And, like, for example, like, you have, like, restaurants and you sit outside.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do that here. Like, I don't even know how to really describe it, but, like, having, like, it's called, like, a terrace, like, and just, like, sitting out there, like, stuff like that, and just, like, the liveliness isn't always there in, like, the town of Shippensburg, so.
And something that I really miss here is, like, the family, like, owned restaurants, because I don't know, like, I feel like it's a bigger thing in Europe where, like, when you own a restaurant, it's like your restaurant and you're not part of a chain. But, like, I feel like here, even those, like, that look more family style are often part of a chain. And so often I'm surprised by some of them. But, like, a lot of times you can only find those chain restaurants, like, and by all means, they're really good, but it's just so different to have, like, just chains, and then you have like these like individualized family-owned restaurants at home that are like Italian food, Spanish food, like all the above. And I'm like, that's just like something I feel like that's missing here. It's hard, especially in rural Pennsylvania.
We should like build a restaurant or something. We can be the cookers.
I'm not that great of a cook. Like, I try, but sometimes it's hard. Yeah. But since we're all so far away from home, how do you guys take care of yourself and your wellness, since I know being away from home can sometimes be tough?
For me, like, when I really miss my family, like, I try to, like, video call them. I think I call my mom, like, almost, like, once a day, to try and, like, check in with her, like, too, when my family's at home, like, I'll try to, like, group FaceTime them so that I feel like I'm, like, part of, like, whatever they're doing back home. And then just, like, for myself, when I notice it's, like, all a little bit too much, like, I try to take the time to, like, take care of myself, whether that's, like, mentally, physically, like, just, like, taking time for myself.
Yeah, for me it's kind of like the same thing. I don't like call them that, like I call them like during the weekend, and it's like a big call. Like I can be talking for like 4 hours, like that's the average 4 hours, something like that. So during the week, because I'm very close with my parents, so during the week I never call them because I don't have like 4 hours to talk to them. But I text them like throughout the day, like in the morning, like good morning, good night, like how was your day and things like that. And then when I miss them, I usually like read the letters that they send me, like when I'm here, and then like look up the, I don't know, like pictures and things like that, or if not, like going around if I'm very like homesick, so I can like, I don't know, relax a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it's hard though, but I think you get used to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I usually call my parents once a week on Sundays. That's our set time to call. But whenever I'm bored throughout the week, like I'll get out of class and like just have spare time before practice, I'll call them. Sometimes I call them like 5 times a day because I always get bored or whatever, and they're like, again? And I'm like, yes, again. Like, you're stuck with me here.
They love that though.
Pretty sure they do. Yes.
Do you ever just like call them and you don't even have anything to say, but you just like stare at the phone? Like, I do that a lot.
Yes, me too, because I'm always like, I'm so bored at times. Like, I get out of class, I'm like, I don't really have an assignment to do, or I don't want to work on that assignment. So I'll be like, I'm going to be walking to the library and like just like start calling them, and then obviously I can't go in the library because I'm on the phone, and I'll just hang out outside the entire time to like be on the phone with them instead of doing homework. Or something I know I often do, like my parents were my coaches at home for track. So like often like after practice, which is like 11 o'clock or so, like if it was a really good practice or if it was a really bad practice, I'll be calling my dad because often my mom will be asleep. Sometimes she'll like stay up, she will hear my voice and be like back downstairs after already going to bed. She wants to talk to me too. But I'll be calling my dad and be like, so this is what happened today and this is what I did, and like all of that. And I'm on the phone with him until I go into the dining hall in the evenings at like 6 o'clock, which is midnight for him. And I sometimes feel bad, but I usually don't because I'm like, I need this. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, my parents, they watch all my games, and even if it's like 2 a.m. in Spain, they don't care. If I need to call at like 3 a.m., sometimes they stay up because like sometimes I get back late from like games or something, and they were like, oh, okay, don't worry about it, just call me when you go like back. And it's like 1 a.m. in Spain. I'm like, I feel bad. Like,
me too. But
that's
like,
so sweet.
And I know. So I had my first meet on Friday, and it's a multi, and we don't start until 5 p.m. here, which is 11 p.m. at home, and then it's 5 events. So we usually don't get done until like 9 or 10 p.m. here. So like it's like 4 a.m. at home, and then my freshman year, my dad kind of just like stayed up following like along for like live results and stuff, or like back then the live results weren't even that great, so I always had to text in our family group chat being like, okay, that's what I did at like the events and stuff. And, like, I just called him in between every event almost.
Yeah.
And then my second year, he did the same thing. And then, like, last year and for my junior year, I was like, well, now it's kind of like all good things are 3, right? So you got to stay up again.
Yeah.
He did it again. And then this year, I was like, well, you got to do it.
Yeah,
It's
no.
all years now, I guess.
I guess your last one, though. So.
Yeah, but so he had to be somewhere Saturday morning at first and was like, yeah, I don't think I can watch it. So we talked my mom into staying up and watching, like, following
that's
along
nice.
instead.
That's sweet.
And then it turned out that he had to go there later, so he had some time, so he stayed up later, and then he went to bed at some point. But then he was like, before my last event, like, my mom was supposed to, like, wake him up so he could talk to me again.
Oh, that's
And
sweet.
so, like, I always get to, like, talk to them before and after meets. And, like, even when
Yeah.
I'm at meets, I will always be, like, calling them in between events and
Yeah.
stuff. Because I'm just like, I need to talk to you. Like,
Yeah.
you, like, calm my nerves in a way nobody else can.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
they're your parents. Like, they know you.
Yeah.
So.
But it's funny because it's so much more here than
Mm-hmm.
at home. At home when I'm at meets and then with them,
Yes.
they really annoy me. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, I feel like it's just, like, there's a different coaching style here than I have at home with them.
Yeah.
So, like, they will go on my nerves quicker in a way. So, like,
Yeah.
when I'm at home, I'm at meets, I'm like, yeah, I really need some distance here.
Yeah.
But, like, when I'm here, I can't get enough of them. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's the same for you guys.
I have the exact same thing. Like back home, like after when I would have a game and I would have to like drive back home for like 30, 40 minutes, I'd be like, you cannot say anything to me in the car. I don't want to hear what you thought of the game. I don't want to hear
Yeah.
it. But like here, I'm like, so what did you think of that? Like, what did you think of the game? Like, what did you think of this? Like, I want to know. But like back home, I'd be like, no, like no, not right now. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, maybe it's like missing them. Like,
Yeah.
sort of, and like being like now that like their opinion isn't forced on you as much anymore, you like want it more. But I have the same thing. Yeah.
I think for me, like, I might be for you too. Like, when I came here, I realized, like, I was more selective with who I have in my life, you know? Like, I lost a lot of friends
Yes.
back home. And, like, because I was like, right now, all I care are my parents and these two real friends that I have. So I feel like that's why we feel this way. Because, like, you're here and you're like, by the end of the day, my parents, they are on the other side of the world. And they still, like, wake up at 2 a.m. just to watch me play this game. Like, so, and they support you, like, no matter what, even if you're not with them. So I think that's why we feel this way. Because it's like the distance makes you, like, stronger. Like, the
Yes.
relationship between you two.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like the distance also, like, shows you who your real friends are.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, in school, like, yes, you had, like, 15 friends or so, but, like, how many of them are now still a part of your life now that you're not there anymore on a regular basis? Because I know how hard it is for me to, like, even, like, with my best friend from home, I barely check in sometimes, and I feel super bad about it, but I'm just, like, so busy with my life here, and then I'm just, like, I just generally don't have the time sometimes.
Same.
And then, but, like, with her, I just know she's not going to be mad at me because it's the same way for her. And you're just like, that's how a friendship works. And the second we see each other, we're like,
It's the same.
it's the same as always. And then there's like those friends that like kind of like aren't mad at you, but like look at you different because you're gone for so long. And it's just like, on the one hand, I think it's sad because it changes friendships. But just one other hand, I also think it's so nice to see like who you can really rely on.
Because those are your real friends. Like, I have friends in Spain that I haven't seen in 3 years. Because they are also, like, in other countries in Europe, like, in university or something. So when I go back to Spain, they are not there. And then when they go, I'm not there. So it's like... But at the end of the day, like, we can spend, like, 4 months without talking. And then we do, like, a video call one day, like, FaceTime. And we are, like, 6 hours on the phone, and it's, like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have that because, like, someone that I can trust rather than have 15 people that, you know, today they're here, but tomorrow something happens and they don't answer the phone.
Yeah. Agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. And then I was going to ask if you guys are ever homesick, but we kind of already talked about that. But so when was the last time you guys went home? So, or like, when is the next time you guys gonna go home? Like, how has it been for you? Because I always, like, summer and winter break was always, like, my priority to, like, go home, see my friends and family, and just, like, hang out with them to, like, still have, like, both lives in a way.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, I feel like I know you did it differently, so I
Yeah.
just want to get other opinions here. Me?
Okay. I think last time that I went home was like 2 summers ago. I'm planning on, the idea is to go back this summer because I was staying here in the U.S. to work because here you make a lot of money, like
Mhm.
working here, and then I was taking classes too because I wanted to graduate early. So I was like, I was supposed to go last summer, but then I wanted to stay one more year for basketball, and then my master's was like year and a half. So I was like, I'd rather stay over the summer, like sacrifice this summer, and then
Mhm.
graduate in May, and then be done with everything, rather than go back to Spain, then come back and have to like come back without basketball, because like that's not the point.
Mhm.
So yeah, I spent like 2 years without going, but yeah, the idea is to go back this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it like hard, or like, I mean, you say your parents came to visit you, like,
Yeah.
do they come like once a year, or how do you do that?
Yeah, they came for graduation,
Mhm.
so in May,
Okay.
and now they are coming for Christmas, because of
Okay.
basketball, we only have 6 days off.
Yeah.
And I'm the only child, so they're like, look, I spent 4 Christmas like away
Mhm.
from home, like being here in the U.S., and they were like, look, this has to change, like.
Mhm.
So yeah, now they're coming next week.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I could not imagine. That's like, I could not imagine doing that.
Yeah.
I-
Me either.
Last time I was home was during the summer. I went home for the summer. I usually go home for the summer and the winter. And I go back Sunday. Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm going back Thursday, and I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always so crazy to me because like everybody's always like here, like, oh, I miss my parents. I haven't seen them in 2
I know.
weeks. And I'm sitting there like, well, I think the last time I saw my parents was in August, but
Yeah.
I get it. Like everybody has the same right to miss them. I just always think the relation is like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you're both athletes just like me. How does it help you being an athlete and being away from home, or does it help you at all? Does it like make the situation worse? Does it make it better? Like, how is it for you?
I think it helps because, like, sports is always, like, a constant. Like, for me, like, if I'm missing home really bad or, like, things aren't going well, like, I know I have field hockey. And it's, like, it's a good distraction. Like, I feel like if I didn't play a sport, I don't know what I would do with my time. Like, thinking about, like, the spring semester, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my time. Like,
Yeah, you're done, right?
yeah. So, and I won't have any practices in the spring, so that'll be weird. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's just been, like, it's been really nice to have my sport. I'm so grateful for it.
For me, it's kind of the same thing. My dream, like, of coming to this country is because of basketball. Because in Europe, it's very hard to, like, do a school and the sport during, like, a university.
Yes.
So I was like, yeah, without basketball, I wouldn't be here, like,
Yeah.
basically. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And it also helped me when I'm homesick. Like, basketball is always going to be in your good times and your bad times. And I don't know. And it keeps you busy, too.
Yeah. No, I think it, like, track always, like, keeps me busy.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like a piece of home.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, whenever I do it, I feel more connected to home in a way.
Yeah.
So, like, it makes it easier. And I honestly also don't think I would be here if I wasn't a track athlete. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think, because the degree here is so expensive, there's no way I could have afforded it coming to
Yeah.
the U.S. without a sports scholarship in a way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
same.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm guessing it's the same in Spain and Netherlands, but, like, some people here watching this might not know, but in Germany or, like, mostly over Europe, you barely pay any fees to go to university because the degrees there are
Yeah.
free. Like, you pay a couple hundred fees,
Yeah.
but you have no tuition or anything. So the only expenses you really have are, like,
just to
room and
get in,
board
basically.
and, like, living
yeah.
expenses. So, yeah. Sometimes I still wonder why I made this decision because I feel like I could have saved a lot of money. But
Yeah. Too
then-
late for that.
yes, no, for real. But then I'm like, whenever I'm like at track practice with the team or like competing at meets and like doing really well, I always am reminded why I'm doing this because I love track so much and I couldn't give it up. Because, yeah, how is it for you guys at home with sports? Because I know in Germany it's more club based with track or like with sports in general, where like here it's a lot of high school sports and like sports for school. We don't have any sports at our school. Like, yeah, we have gym class, but then like everything you do as extracurriculars you do at clubs or like other organizations that aren't related to schools in any way. How's it for you guys?
It's the same, like, at, like, my international school, you had, like, school sports, but not, like, field hockey, so I always played for, like, a club, and, it's, like, it's very separate from school, like, you usually practice, like, at night, and, like, I had school, and then I would, like, have to wait till, like, maybe 6 or 7, and then I'd have practice till, like, 9, yeah, and it was always separate, like, separate people, like, yeah, which coming here, like, that's what I like so much about it, like, it's all so interconnected, like, practice in between, like, your classes, and it's not, like, late at night, like, you're not coming home at, like, 10 p.m. from, like, practice, so, yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, in Spain it's kind of like the same thing. We have like some high schools with like some sports, but like I play in a club too as well. So I think it's the same thing. My practices were like 10 p.m. at night, and I got home at like 11:30, and I still have to shower, do homework, and I don't know, study and things like that. And it's just like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, my club was in like a neighboring town. It was like 10-15 minute drive, I think. And I think I was really lucky because my parents, like I said, are my coaches or were my coaches at home, and so they always also had to go to practice anyway, so they could just drive me. But I know like just like getting to practice can sometimes be a struggle at home, even though we have public transport and all that, or that's often what people use. But like, where was the club that you guys practiced at? Like, was it far away from home or was it like close?
Well, like, the beginning years of my high school, I went to a club that was like 5 minutes from my house, so I could just bike there. But then my school was in Amsterdam, so it was like 30 minutes away. So then I decided to switch clubs because it was like time-wise, it was way too hard to like have to go home and then have to change right away, go to practice. Like, it was all very rushed. So then I changed clubs, and it was like 40 minutes from my house now, but only 5 minutes from my school. So the driving was a lot more, but it was like technically easier, like the transition between school and like practice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for me, I was in the biggest club of my city, so we had like 4 different gyms in different locations, and they were like big gyms, so they were like, I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes from my house, or I think the farthest one was like in a university, and that was probably like 30 minutes drive, because it was like in the mountain, or so yeah, between 10 and 30 minutes.
Okay. And then besides doing it at a club, how were your sports different at home? Like, are there like any different roles, different playing styles maybe? Like, are there any differences, or is it the same as it is here?
For basketball, I remember that I screwed up a lot of times in games my first year, because like the rules are different. Like the European basketball is not the same. And as to the style, you can tell. I feel like European is more like you share the ball more. It's more like team based. And here it's more like individual. Like and one player is gonna score like 30 points in the game. In Europe, it's more like it doesn't matter who scores. Like we are a team. Like what really matters is the final score. But yeah, I think the rules is what like it was the biggest change.
Okay.
For me, the surface was different. I've always played on like a water-based like surface, and here it's on a soccer field. So like my first 2 weeks coming here, I cried after every practice because I was like, I can't play field hockey anymore. Like the ball would just get stuck. Like it took so much more effort. So that was a big transition. I think there's like different tactics and different like ways of playing field hockey. It was very different here. Like the things that they pay attention to is very different than what they do back home. And then, for example, like they don't really have an indoor season here. Back home you have like outdoor the first half of like the year, and then like around like December you go inside till like the end of January and you compete in there, and they don't really do that here, besides like practicing like for the first 2 weeks when you come back in the spring. And I'm trying to think what else. I feel like it's just like different, but it's like small little things. Yeah.
So how was it to learn all these new things for both of you guys? Like, how long did it take you to adjust?
I'd say like at least my first year, like there was just like a little bit of a lag in like the terms, and then like communicating it and doing it. Like we would come together in like a huddle and we'd have to discuss something, and I'd still be like thinking about what just happened and like trying to translate that, and then be like, wait, what's the term for it? And like my whole first year, like I wouldn't say much like in the huddles on the field, because I was like, I need to take this all in for a second.
Yeah, it was probably the same. I was my first or second year too, because like four of my teammates were from Spain, and I was a starter with 3 of them. So on the floor we were speaking Spanish, because it's like 4 out of 5 we are from Spain and we are playing the 40 minutes of the game. So there's no point for me. Like it's no point, but like I was doing that all my life, and I didn't have the need to change it. So I was like, okay. And then when I came here and all my teammates were Americans, I was like, oh, now I have to, and started speaking English. I actually know the terms. But yeah, probably like 2 years maybe to fully like do it like the American way.
Yeah. That's nice. Our coach like didn't let us like talk another language on the field. Like Argentinian girls, like they can't, like they have to speak English. Like when we had 3 other Dutch, like you could not, like you would be sent off the field if you were speaking another language, because it like delays like I guess like the adjustment to it. But like that way all of us would just be standing there and we wouldn't say anything, because we were like lagging.
I mean, on one hand I guess it's weird, but on the other hand I feel like it probably definitely forces you into it, so it probably in the long run helped you get used to it quicker. But it's definitely I was wondering about that, because I feel like some coaches would do something like that, and it's just interesting to know. I mean, I never had that issue, because like I said, I was the only I feel like I'm the only German on the sports teams here. Maybe not, but there was nobody in track that spoke another language that I could have speak into them.
And you're also like an individual sport.
So I think that also like, because for me I didn't have to learn that many like terms or any tactics or anything. The only thing, like some of the coaches explained like technical things maybe a bit different, or like use terms that I haven't really heard before, but like once I got used to that, like it was pretty easy. But like sometimes I think it was like last year outdoor or something, and we were high jumping, and my coach tried to explain something to me and like said a word, and I was just sitting there like nodding along, kinda, and he was like, "Do you even know what that means?" And I'm like, "No, no," but I wouldn't have said anything about it, because I'm not gonna be the one to be like, "What do you mean?" Because sometimes I feel like that can be annoying to coaches when they always get like questioned like 20 times. Too, like. Because I don't want to be the one that doesn't understand, but sometimes I'm generally the one that doesn't understand because of the language. So but I'm just standing there like, I totally know what you mean.
My freshman year when I came here, my coach was like an old guy from like Iowa, and his accent was so deep, and he was COVID year, so he has like the face mask. So sometimes he was talking to me, like yelling at me at practice, and I was just staring like, And then my teammate from Spain, she was a sophomore, and she was staring at me, and she was like, you don't even know what he's saying. Like, she was telling me this in Spanish. I'm like, I don't know, I'm just like nodding and saying yes. Because like with face mask, like, and then an old guy, like, and from Iowa, like he was from the deep accent? Iowa. I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying right now.
I thought I was getting better with like understanding English and stuff, but like some dialects and accents, I'm like,
you gotta get used to it.
Like this spring of a spring break, I met like a trucker from it was Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And I generally did not understand a word he said.
Yeah.
And I was standing there like, what is he saying? Everybody just made fun of me. Like,
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but in Spain we learned the English from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So the accent is and the slang is
Well,
completely different.
yeah.
So sometimes when I got here, I was using terms like English terms, and they were like, "What are you saying?" And I'm like, "This is English. What do you mean? Like this is your language." I had to adjust that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at first I was taught the UK English, but like at some point they started having both the UK and the US English in there, like both terms in the school book. In the vocab, and then I guess we had to learn both for a while, and then I know by the end, I feel like it depended on the teacher, because I know as a teacher I had in like 11th and 12th grade, she favored the U.S. English, so I kind of like already did some U.S. English, but like sometimes some terms I'm like, I say flat instead of apartment, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the big ones here, and everybody's just like looking at me, what do you mean flat?
And like
I don't know.
Cutlery and silverware, like what do you guys say?
I say silverware because I feel like that's I never used those terms before coming here. So some of them I just adopted the American right away.
Okay.
But like elevator and lift.
I was about to say that one.
Like is lift the UK one? I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the words are definitely
tricky.
Yeah. Okay. My next question for you guys was, what made you want to come here to the U.S. as a student athlete? Because we're all here because of our sport. So what made you want to come here?
I kind of mentioned it before, but like the way that everything's like connected here, like it works very well, like having classes and like sports being together works really well. And also like the level of like playing here is very high, like everything's very intense, it's very like serious. I really like that, like how much like pictures are taken, like gear, like stuff, like it's so serious and it's like such a like big thing. Like I really like that aspect of it too.
Yeah, I would say exactly the same thing as her, and I will add that I always wanted to like get to know people from other cultures, like because I feel like you go to university and you learn a lot from books, but I think like I learn more like different, I don't know how to explain, like different aspects of life from like having like friends from like Colombia, Venezuela, Germany, like from different parts of the world, and those things and those experiences you will never get them without these people, you know, like you learn a lot from them. So I didn't want to be in my city with people that had the same background as me, and I felt like the time to like learn from people is now when we are young and we are always able to make mistakes, because like if I come to the US and I don't like it, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go back home and go to the university that I was supposed to go. Like I'm still like 18 years old. Like the time to make the mistakes are like right now, not when you have like 40 years old and you have like a family to take care of. So I feel like learning from people and different cultures, and also like grow, like personal growth, you know. I feel like coming here like changed me a lot, and I feel like now I'm more like independent and I know who I am.
Yeah, I agree. I knew, well, even like as a kid, I feel like I always knew I wanted to get out of the small town I was in, but then I was always thinking I would just move to a bigger city in Germany. But then when I started looking at universities, I feel like none of them really like appealed to me in a way. And I also always knew I wanted to keep doing track, but like I said, it's like club based at home. So it was never like, the universities don't really care about you doing a sport. Unless you're like really the world class athlete, then you'll be excused from university, but other than that you won't be. And so just like knowing that, and knowing that I might have to deal with like classes during practice times and stuff, and then practice isn't as flexible at home as it is here because we don't have full-time coaches. They just do it like after they're done with work, so it's kind of like the set time frame they have. And just like knowing all that, I started to look at the U.S. and I was like, their system is so much better. Like you said, it's so much more interconnected, and you can just go to class to practice, back to class, and like all of that, and they like actually like look out for athletes here, which I think is pretty amazing. That you're able to like miss classes because of meets and stuff. Obviously not because you go to practice, but like just to have the possibility to go to meets and miss classes and stuff and be excused for it is pretty cool.
That will never happen in Europe.
No.
Yeah, no. And it's crazy to think about how different the systems here are.
I know. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, now the real good question is, how do we all find out about Shippensburg University? Because how do 3 girls from Europe end up in rural Pennsylvania?
I know, right? Yeah, for me, it's like when I was in Iowa my sophomore year, I was in a community college, so I had to transfer. So I started literally sending emails to every single D2 in like this side of the U.S. because I wanted to be like close to Europe because the flights to Iowa, they were too long. I'm like, no, I need to go like somewhere more like in the east. So yeah, basically I was looking up like all the D2s in this side of the country and then email coaches.
Okay. And then you were like, Shippensburg sounds great.
Yeah, I'm like, why not? It has a boat on it. Maybe there's a beach.
Well, I fear we don't have a beach.
Right. Oh gosh. For me, we have like companies back home that help you like find schools in the U.S. So I was signed to one of those, and we had like a showcase where like coaches come and watch, and then based off of that, you have like conversation with the coaches, calls. I had a few calls with like coaches, and then I like kind of also was looking back home. And I had like 1 or 2 colleges where I was like, I could go there, but nothing really sparked my interest. And then it was kind of approaching, like, the deadline of, like, your choice and, like, committing to a college. And I was like, oh, like, I really don't know what I want to do. And then this company that I was signed to was like, oh, there's, like, this coach that wants to talk to you. And I was like, I wasn't really looking at these schools before that. So then I was like, oh, okay, like, I guess I'll just do it. Like, I researched a little bit, and I was like, oh, like, the field hockey team is, like, really good. Like, they just won a national championship, like, conference championship. I was like, okay, like, yeah, I'll meet with this coach. And then our coach, Tara Zollinger, she was, like, we had such a good conversation, and she was so nice. And then I was like, yeah, like, I'll go there. And then I came in May and, like, toured the campus, all of that, which usually doesn't happen with international students. So I kind of, like, knew what I was getting into. Like, I was able to see a practice and also practice with them. So then I was like, yeah, like, I think this is a good place to go to. So, yeah, that's how I found out about SHIP.
Yeah, I also signed with, like, one of these, like, agencies or companies, but Shippensburg did not come from one of them. So it was 2019, and I attended a training camp that the Olympic champion Thomas Euler in the javelin hosted, and he hosted it for like athletes and coaches from all over the world. And Coach Dunkel, our javelin coach here, attended the meet too. Over like the whole like week, and then my dad and him were really good friends that whole week, and then they stayed in touch after. But like at that point, I didn't really think about going to college here. But when I started thinking about it, some other university coach reached out to me and was like, hey, you interested in studying in the U.S., like, on the track team? And I was like, actually, kind of, yes. So I, like, messaged back and forth with him a bit on Instagram while my dad texted Coach Dunkel and was like, hey, so Nicola was contacted by this coach. Any idea if that school's good or not? And then Coach Dunkel responded and was like, well, I have never really heard of it and doesn't seem like a good fit for her, but like I talked to my head coach here and he wants her. And so that's how I got in touch with Coach Sanchez, and in the end I ended up here. Like that was all before COVID. So when COVID hit, because we tried for me to come here in 2020. Yeah, I graduated in 2020, so I was supposed to come here and start school in, like, the fall of 2020 at first. But then with COVID, like, all the test facilities and stuff shut down, so I wouldn't be able to, like, take the SAT and, like, all the, language tests and stuff. So I, like, told Coach Owen, was like, hey, I think I'm going to have to delay it for a year. Like, I'll get back to you later in the year when I know, like, what's going on and stuff. But, like, it was just not realistic to do it. And then over the summer, I also signed with one of those companies because I was like, well, maybe I can see what other schools are out there. Like, maybe there's, like, this great offer, or, like, maybe I'll get a free ride somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I was in touch with multiple universities, and, like, either they didn't have the degree I wanted, or it just, like, didn't seem like the right fit for me. And in the end, I ended up here, which I think is really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we are.
Here we are in rural Pennsylvania.
I know.
That's always the question everybody asks me. Like, why are you here?
Same.
And I'm like, I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah.
I also would prefer to be in the South, but I'm here.
Yeah.
I feel like it was just, like, so random, like, almost like it was meant to be, but also, like, if certain things had just been different, like, the chance would have been so big that all of us never came here.
I know.
No, like, looking at the track team for the first time, I kind of, like, already knew I wanted to go here because it's such a successful program, obviously, and, like, they always had good athletes, and also, like, their history of multi-athletes wasn't, like, the strongest, I want to say, but, like, they always had good individual athletes and, like, all of the events. So I was like, that means I will have somebody to train with, like, for everything, which was kind of, like, what I wanted, because at home I was often by myself. And so I always knew, like, I don't want to go to a team where I'm, like, the best one coming in. I want to be, like,
so you can learn
like,
more.
mediocre for the team, kind of, like, in all of the events, so I can, like, really improve, like all the events, and, like, have people that will push me. So I kind of, like, Shippensburg always seemed like a great fit, and then the Conjuring department here is also amazing, and I'm so glad I'm here.
Yeah.
And
It's just, like, crazy. Like, I really, like, did not know about Chip at all. And, like, they have such a good field hockey team, but if I never would have had, like, that coach reach out to me, I never would have known about Chip, probably never, like, would have thought twice about coming here. So,
Yeah. And then, so we always have a part in our podcast where we have ChatGPT questions. So, I asked ChatGPT, what are the biggest challenges for international students transitioning to the U.S., which we talked about earlier. And ChatGPT answered with a really long list. It has 9 points with different bullet points, so I'm just going to give you guys a quick rundown of them. They started by saying that international students transitioning to the United States face several challenges, both academic and personal, and they can vary depending on everybody's background, but the most common ones are the cultural adjustment, like culture shock, homesickness, and navigating diversity, which I feel like we all can agree with.
Yeah.
And then the second is academic adjustments, like teaching methods, language barriers, and the grading system. And that was a point that I was like, that spoke to me, because the grading system here is very different from Germany. And just, like, the teaching, I feel like, is actually pretty similar, because, like, the way professors teach the classes here, I feel like it's similar to home with, like, homework and, like, all of that, where I feel like a lot of Americans tell me, like, it's so different from high school and they struggle with it at first. Yeah. But it wasn't a hard transition for me. How was it for you guys?
I think the grading system definitely was, like, a big difference, like, having, like, a GPA, like, I've never had that before, so having that, I don't love it. I don't like having a GPA, like.
So, did you have a grading scale at all? Like, was it just called different, or did you not have any of that?
Like, in an international school, we had grades from 1 to 7.
Okay.
So you would get, like, a 1 through 7 on, like, stuff, and, like, my final grade for, like, my classes would be, like, 1 out of, like, 7. 7 being really good, 1 being not good, and, like, you needed at least, like, a 4 to, like, pass. Like, anything below a 4 was not passing. They didn't do, like, half grades either. Like, you couldn't get, like, a 1.5 or, like, a 6.5. So that was really different, and no, like, GPA or, like, anything that, like, sums everything together. And just, like, every semester would, like, restart. So, like, you just start over. And, like, I don't like how your GPA, like, it's, like, a buildup of, like, all your years. So, like, if you have, like, a terrible semester, like, your GPA is just, like...
Screwed.
Yeah, don't love that.
That's interesting. I never knew that because we're graded from 1 through 6 at home, 1 being the best, 6 being the worst, but we get, like, half grades and quarter grades, so we will get, like, a 1 minus, a 2 plus, like, 2 to 3, like, all these grades. And then we also had a GPA, like, we would just, like, a 2 to 3 would be, like, a 2.5, a 1 minus would be, like, a 1.25, and then you would, like, count all of them together and, like, divide them, whatever, and you would, like, get your final GPA at the end of the year. So, like, we had it, but just, like, different than here. So
interesting. I did not know about that either.
I didn't know about yours either.
I thought Europe it was the same. For me, it's like the grading.
I thought they all did the same thing.
Yeah, in Spain, the grading is 0 to 10. 0 is the worst, and 10 is like the best, you know.
Yeah.
And then we only have like a GPA the last 2 years of high school. Because that is what they are gonna use to get into the university.
Yeah, we have a GPA like every year, like in 5th grade you have your 5th grade GPA or whatever, but that doesn't get like it's not turned into a cumulative like school GPA or whatever at the end of the year, like it's here. But then like 11th and 12th grade we get like semester GPAs, but we also like at the end of the like 2 years we get our overall GPA, which is what we use to apply for university. Yeah.
That's interesting. I
I'm
thought
so glad
Europe was the same.
I'm so glad I asked about this.
Well, in like a regular Dutch school, I think it works the same. Like it's 0 to 10, but I didn't go to like a Dutch school, so
yeah,
that is interesting though. We all have like something different.
Yeah. I didn't even know that. And then, so what ChatGPT also mentioned was social integration with making friends, which I generally feel like we as athletes had a much easier time doing that than like individual people, because I know it took me probably until like my sophomore or junior year to like actually like talk to people and have relationships with people that weren't on a sports team, or especially like my sports team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it would have been harder for me if I was on a sports team.
Yeah.
I think for me, I was like very involved. Like I was an RA and I work at the like I had different jobs, so it was like much easier for me to like get to know people outside of basketball.
Yeah.
And that helped me a lot. And then in Iowa, it was so easy because we were all international. So when you see an international, like, you're already my friend because we are going through the same thing. Like you can sit down and talk for like 6 hours and like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like international people, I feel like always kind of like gravitate towards each other too.
Yeah. I think too, like, for me, a big cultural change was like, people here sugarcoat stuff more and they're like more fake, and I come from a culture that's very direct and I will tell you how I see it. And I think people 100%. Like that was scary here because I know the second that I open my mouth I'll just say things how they are for me, and like people don't like that. I never realized that, but like I think I come off as blonde here sometimes to people a lot, and I never see myself as blonde. I feel like I'm more like a sugarcoating, like nice well, we're all nice in Europe, but I feel like I'm more of the ones like trying to be like diplomatic, but like at times I'll just say something and people just go quiet and look at me as if I said something really rude, and I'm like, they're like,
did I say something
say
really rude?
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because when I go back home, everyone's like, oh, like, you've become so nice, and, like, oh, like, wow, like, and here it's like, wow, like, I can't believe you just said that, and I'm like, what, is that not the truth?
Yeah, was I not supposed to say this? Like, how am I supposed to say it nice? Like, yeah. Okay. Other things ChatGPT listed are financial concerns, legal and immigration issues, and the healthcare system.
Oh.
Which healthcare system, definitely a big one for me that is weird to navigate.
Yeah.
Do you guys also have, like, international insurance, or do you have American insurance here?
International. I have 2 insurances, so.
Okay.
I don't
think
even
I'm
know,
both.
if I'm being honest. I just go to Wes and I told him like, what do I need to pay? Yeah, I don't know what I would do without like being on the
Shout
basketball
out to
team.
Wes and all the athletic trainers here and
Yeah.
staff.
Real.
Yeah, because it's too much going on.
Yeah.
Like the F1, then the semis, now the insurance. Like it's too much paperwork for my head.
Yes. Oh my gosh, coming here, all the paperwork. I was filling all of that stuff out, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go anymore. I was
Yeah.
like, it's so much, and it keeps coming, and then like getting here and then doing like the insurance. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I think taxes are the worst.
Taxes.
Remember last year?
Last year we tried to do taxes together, and we were both struggling really hard.
For
In the end,
hours.
like, I'm not sure if I did mine right. I hope so.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely
Fingers
tried. If
crossed.
you guys see this, I genuinely tried my best.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to do tax fraud.
We
or
don't
any
even
of
know
that.
how to do taxes in our own countries. Like,
But I always thought German taxes were hard, but then I came here and I realized
This is
German
another
taxes
level.
are easy.
yeah.
Like, really, really easy. Because at home we just have, like, a portal or something. At least that's how my family does it. We have an online portal, and then it's just, like, 20, like, things that you click through and, like, fill out
Yeah.
or whatever. But it, like, tells you what you need to fill out. And, like, if you still
Yeah.
don't know, like, there's, like, this question mark, and it explains everything. And then you can just Google it.
Yeah.
But here, all these forms are just, like, put this. And it's, like, a printout form, so it doesn't have any, like, question marks.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, this, like, 30-page, like, explanation at the end that you have to go through. And then you still don't understand it. And then they tell you to go to the other number. And I'm like, what do you mean, other number?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Mm.
I think too, like coming here and like seeing how like the healthcare system works made me realize that like how good everything is back home. I remember like my freshman year I went to urgent care for like my tonsils, and then they like redirected me to like the emergency room for no reason. I ended up going home with like antibiotics. Like it was way too hyped up, and like a month later I get a bill for like $5,000 for like the 30 minutes, well no, like maybe the 2 hours that I was like in urgent care and in the ER, and my heart dropped. I remember calling my parents crying. I was like, I can't believe I got a bill of like $5,000 for 2
That's
hours in the like
crazy.
ER, and it like lines like you get charged like $1,000 for just taking up space in a room. Like your IV drip is like $500, and I was like, I think I would just, if I lived here, I would just die instead of going to the
that's what-
I
hospital.
know, because
That's what a
imagine
lot
if
of
something
people
like
say.
happened, like
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
Like you need
Yeah.
surgery or something like that. Like,
I'm so scared. Like, and like for me, my insurance is from Germany, but I think they have like a provider here in America that they operate through. It's something like that. But I always have to call them before I go see a doctor to make sure it's like within their network and all of that. But I'm always like, well, what happens if I have like an emergency and I can't call? Like, what if
Yeah.
I'm like
In a car crash.
Yeah.
in a car crash and they just like lifeline me somewhere and I can't call, and like,
Yeah.
are you not gonna cover that? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, how? It's just so confusing. And like,
Yeah.
I also had like, last year it was like when I came back from home, I was like sick overall already. Like, I don't know, like sinus infection or whatever probably. So I already took antibiotics for that, but I also had like pain with like my teeth, which was probably also an infection. Which I don't know if it was just like because I was sick anyway and it was like whatever. But so I tried to make an appointment with a dentist because I was like in so much pain, and I ended up going to like a chain dentist or whatever, and they like did x-rays and like looked at my teeth, and they were like, yeah, so you have some really like gum disease or whatever, you need to get like a cleaning and like the full procedure and like these and this and that, and it was also supposed to be like multiple $100s, and I was like, what do you mean this is supposed to be multiple $100? And then I never followed up on it, and like, but like I called my parents and was like, that's what they're telling me, like this can't be true. Like I had a dental like checkup like a couple of weeks earlier at home, and I was
Yeah.
fine, like completely
Yeah.
fine. I was like, there's no way my dentist didn't see this.
Yeah.
And they also just did an x-ray there.
Yeah.
So my parents reached out to my dentist being like, that's what they're telling her over there, like, can that be true? And she went back and like looked at my x-ray and all that and was like, no, this is not possible, like, So it
Yeah.
was just like a regular like infection, probably like a bit worse than because I was sick anyway. And they like hyped it up to this like big thing where they would have gotten like hundreds of dollars or maybe even thousands of dollars
That's
out of
crazy.
me.
Yeah, like
And
I
then-
feel like that's like, do they just try to do that to make profit?
I don't know.
Because I had
probably.
like the same thing. Like they sent me to urgent care. It was like a throat infection. But when I went to like the emergency room, they were like, we can't send you home. Like if you're at home like tonight, your whole throat is gonna swell up, and we're gonna have to stab a hole into your throat to like
What?
even allow you to breathe. She was like, yes, like I'm scared if I send you home, this will happen. So I don't know. Like, isn't that
This
so
is
scary?
another level.
Yeah, as like an
No.
international student, like for
Oh,
you to be
yes.
told that you have like some kind of gum disease, for me to say that they're gonna have to puncture a hole in my throat for me to be able to breathe, like I feel like
Yeah.
that can't be right. Like
Yeah, and I also know my sophomore year, so I got my appendix removed over the summer before my sophomore year, and then I probably fainted once or twice the year before, probably because of like appendix pain.
Mhm.
And then I fainted one more time like after I got out, like towards the end of the summer, and I went home to see my own doctor, and like she did a checkup and was like, you're fine, and she just gave me some like drops that were supposed to help me with like my blood pressure or whatever if I ever felt like I was about to faint. So when I came here, I obviously told our sports med staff about it, like that I just like had that as medication because I just wanted it to be on file in case I needed it and like in case it was a problem.
Mhm.
And they were like, well, why do you need it? And I explained it that like I fainted like I think it was 3 times at that point over the last year. And they were like, okay, then can you please go to Eder, like to get a checkup with the doctor there, just so you can be cleared. So because otherwise they couldn't have cleared me. So I went to Eder, and they did like is it an echo? No, EKG. It was an EKG. They did an EKG with me, but then they still sent me to a cardiologist to make sure I was okay. And then I had to schedule an appointment with a cardiologist, and like everybody telling me like, oh, something might be wrong with your heart. While I was in America with my parents at home in Germany, so I also at the same time wasn't allowed to do any sports. Like I wasn't cleared for practice, so I couldn't work out. And at the same time, I didn't want to work out because what if something is wrong with my heart?
Yeah.
So had to go see the cardiologist, and then with the cardiologist, he made me go do an echo. A EKG, that's like where you run and do the EKG, like that one. And then he also had me schedule a whole different test that was like something like a tilt table test or whatever, where they like had me lay down and then they like lifted me up or something. It was so weird, but that wasn't required for me to be cleared again. So I like had to go through the whole thing with like my insurance and all that, explain to them what was going on, and then schedule an appointment for like an echo and like all these things. And like luckily after the echo and the other EKG, I got cleared because like they were both like they didn't show anything. So they cleared me after that, so I could go back to practice. But I was like almost a month after our regular practice already started. But like I was like having the whole thing going on while I was here and not at home.
Yes.
Or, like my parents not being around. Like sometimes I went to the doctor and like the doctors told me things and I was sitting there like, I don't know what you're telling me.
Yeah.
And that was just a really stressful time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was just like, I felt like they just like sent me from doctor to doctor. Yes, they want to make sure I'm okay, but at the same time I never really had any suspicion that anything was wrong with my heart, so it just felt really weird at times.
Yeah. Like I feel like the like not stigma, but like how much people care here about like health, and it's like almost obsessive, where like stuff like that, like, oh, you have to go see this person, like you have to do this test, like you might have like this disorder. Like back home it's like if you don't drop dead, like you're fine. Like, it's like if you can walk, if you can sleep, if you can breathe, you're okay. Like just keep going.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, so that was definitely something to adjust when coming here. And then ChatGPT also mentioned the time zone and communication with family, understanding the U.S. system, and balancing academic and social life, which I think is all fair.
Yeah.
Especially time zone. I mean, we're all in the
6
same time
hours.
zone, like
Yeah.
6 hours
Yeah.
ahead from the U.S., so sometimes it can be hard with, like, communicating with people at home. Especially, like, when you get off of things or, like, in the evening when you actually, like, have a second.
Yeah,
and then
days
you
are
respond to
late.
people and they texted you 10 hours ago and you
Yeah.
feel bad because you
Yeah.
didn't have time to respond earlier, and by the time you respond, they're in bed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sometimes it can be hard.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then ChatGPT also said solutions and support are orientation programs, counseling services, language assistance, and cultural events. Which I feel like
You
we
just gotta
have
go
bit
through
here.
it though.
Hmm?
I think you just gotta go through it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Just
No.
trial and error.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I feel like Shippensburg is not really a school that offers language assistance to
Yeah.
international students. Sometimes I feel
Oh.
like
No, not really.
I think Mary Burnett like really tries her best. Like
yes,
that's
sure.
like a one-woman show. Like she tries to really do a lot, but I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Shippensburg itself doesn't really
Yes.
assist her a lot.
Yes.
And because we have such like a small group of international students, there's not really a point in doing like large cultural events or like
yes.
doing a
Yeah.
lot of stuff because it's like not targeting a lot of people.
Yeah, because there's so little international students, I feel like that we just blend in. I feel like some people on this campus probably won't know that there's international students here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mary definitely is amazing to have as a support
Yeah.
system.
She does a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She really does.
She's so sweet too. Like
Yeah.
the amount of like work, and I know how stressful it is, but like she like just does so much for like other people. Like I
Mhm.
don't know
Yeah.
how she does it.
And she always does it with like a smile on her face too, and like
And
she
she
always
explains
she's so
everything.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about the time. You come in the office like 1 hour explaining the same thing over and over until like you get
Yes.
it.
Yeah. Mary is amazing, an amazing resource to have for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then ChatGPT closed with overcoming these challenges often requires time, support from the university, and personal resilience. And I think I agree with that. That's a
Yeah.
good closing statement.
Yes. Agree with that.
Yeah, so thank you for joining me on today's episode of the Cow Podcast. It was amazing to learn about your guys' experiences. And yeah, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
so thank you for the inviting.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you guys, and bye.
Bye.
Yeah.